Well, the first thing I want to say is...
the great old ones is coming back, and we the great old ones.
Well, the first thing I want to say is...
the great old ones is coming back, and we the great old ones. Magic, magic.
Over 100 million people worldwide practice Buddhism.
You said, yeah, you must be one of them fallen angels, and I said, correct. We are the fallen angels.
Some might call
You
it.
mean black magic? But surely no civilized person believes in such a thing.
Magic.
Sorcery and witchcraft.
Demons.
The taboo.
The taboo.
The taboos.
We talking about we tapping into ourselves. Magic.
We are the ones that got trapped down here in the physical and became mindless slaves for a remnant of gods who once was our children.
Damn right we are the gods in heaven.
Have you ever seen yourself through the eyes of someone else that you have become?
Cause ain't none of them niggas talking about none of this magic.
These entities are ancestral.
Cause ain't none of them niggas talking about none of this magic.
Only an insider knows the secrets and mysteries.
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
If you want to plumb the secrets of voodoo, you'll have to wait for the end of the world.
What is reality? The real trick to life is not to be in the know, but be in the mystery.
Is everyone a mystery?
What's happening within us will create what's happening outside of us.
Magic.
Unending possibility.
In Haiti, the Caribbean, and New Orleans, they practice Buddha.
Black magic.
We're going to pour libations to none other than our own power.
Magic.
Dead ancestors.
Cause ain't shit fucking with this dark side, nigga.
Buddha practitioners. Altars.
The witch paths of the African Congo.
Black magic.
Ceremonies.
Oh, now don't tell me you believe all that mumbo-jumbo. Oh, now don't tell me you believe all that mumbo-jumbo.
I've been here long enough, never to dismiss anything as mumbo-jumbo.
Magic.
I read Dr. Quantum comics. Everybody thinks it's just kid stuff, but I know it's real. That's how I do my magic on the court.
You think you don't fight some white man with some goddamn gun, nigga? Is you fucking crazy? Fuck it! You think you don't fight a white man with a goddamn gun? Nigga, is you crazy? Only way you can fuck that cracker up is on this shit. Dark side, nigga. Dark side. Dark side.
Actually, I'm on a plane at least twice a month in the United States. I've taken over 300-400 flights since '93. Fact is, I'm just too lazy to get my passport. Because the sister called back in, I think she called back in 2003. You know, I said, yeah, I'm gonna get my passport and all, just Negro-fied, just too lazy to fill out the application. As simple as that. But that brother's the one that did it. He's like, yo, man, you got to do it. And it happened. It happened. And so we're glad that I'm here. I want to bring show my queen. She's in the house. Now you come on. We're in the UK. We're in London.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want to document that. We got the queen over there and all. So, but real magical power. This is very magical.
Like all of us.
So, a lot of power, a lot of energy and stuff, And very magical sister and also. They say the best for last, because we hooked up, 4 years ago now, back in 2004. So, real powerful. She's coming by the way of Washington, D.C. So in so many words, they used to do a lot of rituals in Washington, D.C. to the goddess Virgo and Scorpio and the goddess Aset. And as a result, she was born and incarnated in D.C. So she's got a lot of power based on the ritualistic things that they were doing in D.C. And so she's born and bred in that town. So real powerful energy and all. And so what it was is that I had the queen, Ginger, which was 20 years younger than me. And we woke up one day and she said, it's time for me to go. And I'm like, yeah, it's time to go. And it wasn't any kind of breakup or nothing. It's just every now and then the cycle passed. And you be like trying to figure out why my relationship is not happening. There's seasons. You see, you don't understand. Everybody wasn't meant to be together till death do you part. it's like you come to do a work in a certain season. And so then I went through a string of women, you know, about 12 of them. You know, of course, about 3-4 years, and then she was the 13th one, and 13 is very, very powerful. You see what I'm saying? And 13th one, so she took me from that hiatus and that you know, that whole thing. But that was a cycle also too. You know, but I'm really glad to be here in London. You know, and I think what it was, I know now that things happen spiritually. So when I was saying I was too lazy to get my passport, it wasn't that. It was the Spirit was like saying, it's not time for you yet. You see, it's like let the others come through, and then and so everything works on a sequence like that. Because when I applied for my passport, I got it in 8 days, and that's unheard of because now they're locking down the United States, whereas you got to have a passport to go to Canada and Mexico. You see what I'm saying? You know, and so I got it in 8 days. So I knew, I said, okay, now is the time that I'm supposed to come. You see what I'm saying? That's interesting here because I went to Canada back in the fall of 2006, right after my mother made the transition. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to go to Canada. My mother made the transition on July the 20th, which was the day that Noble Drew Ali made the transition, the day that Bruce Lee made the transition. The date, you know, so it was real. That's a real date I got to try to look into. And she just sat in the chair, and just her kundalini rose up, and she just spontaneously combusted. You see, so and so it was just her time to go to that goddess level. And she said, "This is," she had to go through something on how this thing is going to go down. We'll go into that science over the course of days of the rising of the gods and goddesses. So then I went to Canada. And all of a sudden what happened was we realized there's 3 places on the planet where the knowledge goes down. One is the United States, one is Canada, because they got to hold intelligence to the brothers and sisters up there in Canada, and one is England or London. Why? It has something to do with the language barrier. It has something to do with English itself. So in so many words, you see, there's a language barrier. We can't go to France. There's got a lot of Africans in France, but we don't speak French. You see what I'm saying? We can't go to the continent a lot of times, because most of them, what you got was Zimbabwe, maybe Nigeria, a few places. But my point here is, it was set up this way based on the technology, that it would be these 3 centers: America, Canada, and the United Kingdom. And that's everything, and as a result, that's the way the actual consciousness is going off. You see what I'm saying? So we have the islands and stuff, you know, the Caribbean, but then again, the Caribbean link to this thing is here in the UK. This is the deal. See, this is the key on how this stuff manifests. We have a big Afrocentric and metaphysical aspect in the United States, but because the Caribbean communities, everything is separated based on communities in the United States. We have the Caribbean input, but it's not as big in the United States as far as getting this particular information. But the missing link is here. This is the key. This is the key on that. You see what I'm saying? The Caribbean, African connection. It had to be in another country, you see what I'm saying? And it is very key at this particular time. That everything is going down this way. Now, the reason why I say, well, some people will say, well, you know, why do you say London and why do you say the United States? And I'm going to tell you something. About a year ago now, what's happening? I'm going to go into a whole lot of things. We're going to go into a question and answer in a few minutes because I want to see what's on your mind. So what we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to talk a little bit, then we're going to go into a question and answer up front so we can get the system going, because what we're dealing with here, we are coming to the gods and goddesses. And what I mean by that is this, to give you an example of what's really going on with us. About 3-4 years ago, all of a sudden, Howard University in Washington, D.C., a couple of other universities, Morehouse College in Atlanta, some couple of universities in Alabama, they started getting these grants to study the DNA of 15,000 African Americans. And American Lives with Henry Louis Gates. Now, so the other part here is based on the diaspora, was the Caribbean. So where did they go to study the DNA of the Caribbean? They came here to London. And they got a whole movie on it where they tell you to trace your roots back to Africa. About all this stuff recently, it's been real big about tracing your DNA back to Africa. You got to understand, they don't give a damn about you tracing your DNA back to Africa than anything. But why all of a sudden this is of importance? So they came here to trace your DNA back to Africa. What this means is that they're trying to track the rise of the gods. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. We can talk about the practitioners, we can talk about all the groups and all of this, but the most important thing right now is this. They're trying to track the rise of the gods. Now, I noticed we got a brother that came up, he said it's from Pakistan, right? Yes. Pakistan. And it's interesting how the spirit works. Because in 1999, in Pakistan, they had these celebrations. And they said, well, why are you all celebrating in Pakistan? They said, we're celebrating the rise of the gods, of some hidden gods in the United States.